Hey everyone, so this is my discussion on Melanie Kitchen's 9 ways online teaching should be different from face-to-face. So, the main arguments that I pulled out from Kitchen is that we need to shift our ways of teaching and communicating. Whatever usually worked in traditional schooling isn't working so well in online school, so that we need to really prioritize what lessons are important and rethink the way we're teaching to appeal to this new kind of learning. And I feel that the ways that Kitchen has put out there, I feel those ways have always been important in, building community and prioritizing lessons. But it's just with COVID, these lessons are just more apparent and more important now than it was before. So our first 3 ways focus on building community with students, parents, and the teachers. With students, it's important to spend those first few days of class kind of building that virtual community and getting to know one another, and sort of always checking on them to make sure, things are going okay at their end. With parents are now taking a more active role in students' learning, so it's important that we always, keep them updated on what's going on, and that make sure in a school that all teachers are using the same platform to talk with parents, communicate with them. And, even though we're working together to help their students learn, it's important to set these boundaries and expectations of what parents should do and what teachers should do. And as teachers, we need to build community with one another so that we can support and vent to one another when things get rough. So her next points are about instructional change. She says that we need to collaborate with one another, with people in our department, with people that we're teaching the same grade with, to make sure that students aren't really getting burned out with all the same repetitiveness of, icebreakers, check-ins, and everything. We need to rethink synchronous activities so that, Zoom meetings are more active learning, and whatever, facts or information they need to learn, they can do that on their own time. And Zoom meetings are just used to supplement what they're learning and to really reemphasize what's important. And it's important that we need to simplify and slow down content so that we're prioritizing what it is that the students really need to learn and what do they need to know and need something that we can strengthen so that they can take this with them as they go on to the next grade level. And finally, we need to make sure that whatever instructions we give to the students or to the parents, that they're very explicit and very clear on what needs to be done, and trying to use different outlets of daily bulletin boards, emails, or videos to get these instructions across, because everyone has different ways of how best they learn and receive information. Finally, the last 2 points are about assessments pertaining to instructional change. So there's more emphasis on feedback and, talking with the student about what they're doing right, what they're doing, what needs to be improved on, because letter grades can only tell you so much of how you're doing in class. Really giving feedback and talking with the student helps build a relationship and really helps the student learn, okay, I need to do better on my writing, but I'm doing well on, reading and analyzing. And finally, she says there needs to be more focus on creation, not, regurgitation of knowledge. It's really easy now to kind of have a book right there and say, oh, this is what happened on this date. I can just put this in easily. But with creating and project-based assessments, that really forces students to apply their knowledge and to take what they learned so that it kind of better assesses that okay, I learned this is how I'm going to use it in the future. That really shows that the student has learned something rather than saying that, okay, this happened on this day, but that, I don't really know that. And finally, this is kind of my commentary on this podcast. I thought this quote was really important. We need to make sure that the students, understand why they're doing something and the purpose that serves. So I feel like whether it's online learning or traditional learning, we as teachers need to make sure that whatever we're doing with the students, it needs to be purposeful and have meaning to it, because otherwise students are just going to ask, why do I need to learn this? Like, it's not important to me. How is this going to help me in the future? So with the ways that we instruct students, assess them, and whatever we're teaching them, it needs to have a purpose and something that's going to help them in the long run. And these are just some questions that kind of popped into my mind as I was listening to the podcast. How can we bring these ways that Kitchen puts out there? How can we bring this back to traditional schooling, into the physical setting when, there's more restrictions going on? And this is kind of important to me. How can we continue to build a community with parents when it's not as urgent? When, parents don't need to be as active in their students' learning as they do now. So that's my presentation, and I hope you all have a good day.